Welcome to the AERA DivG Campus Liaison Spotlight webinar. Today we're joined by the campus liaisons from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. As a side note, be sure to join our Facebook group. It's AERA Division G students. And then follow us on Twitter at AERA DivG. My name is Jeremiah, and I'm a fifth-year doctoral student at Washington State University, and a member of the DivG Grad Student Executive Committee. So today we'll be hearing from Larry Love, Katie McCabe, and Katie Barofsky, and they'll be sharing information about their group at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, and then we'll end with the Q&A session. So there's a chat box in Zoom, so feel free to submit your questions there. So why don't we start off with the introductions? If y'all could just say your name, the program you're in, and then your role in the CL group.
All right, well, I guess I'll start. My name is Larry Love. I'm a third-year doctoral student in the Department of Special Education here at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And I guess my role in the group, we don't have very specific roles. We all kind of serve in the same capacity, just depending on what comes up, so yeah.
And I'm Katie McCabe. I'm a third-year doctoral student in special ed as well. Yeah, and like Larry said, we kind of just work collaboratively as a team to facilitate liaison events on campus.
Okay, and lastly, can you hear me okay? Sorry.
Yep.
My name is Katie Barofsky, and I'm also a third-year doctoral student in special education. And yeah, I have tagged along with Larry and Katie with this group, and we've just kind of done what each of us can as part of our roles within as the campus liaison group.
Awesome. So thanks again for joining us and taking time out of your schedules in the really cold weather to share. So at this time, I'd just like to hand it off to you all.
Okay.
Yeah. So today we're each going to talk about the inception, how it all began, the impact, what we've been doing on campus, and some areas of opportunity. And then we'll have time for questions, answers. So Larry, why don't you start us off?
All right, so to begin, I'm going to talk a bit about how we came to form our Division G Campus Liaison Group at the University of Wisconsin. This is the first time that we've had a Division G representation of this sort on our campus. Early in the start of our doctoral programs, we're in a class together actually, and we had the opportunity to meet with some other Division G campus liaisons from across the nation at different institutions, just talking to us about their experiences and what the benefits of having such a group might be. We were intrigued by that and thought that our university would benefit as well from having this type of group. So in thinking of this connect phase, we went from meeting with other Division G campus liaisons to bringing it within our cohort. So as you've all kind of heard, we're all third-year doctoral students in special education. So we're a cohort. So we really leveraged our cohort model that our department has as our initial stage or our initial step in the process, because we knew that we saw each other quite regularly. We also knew that we drew from different lines of research, but still within the social context of education. After that, we knew that we would need some type of advisor or some type of guidance from faculty. So to do that, we reached out to Dr. Tasia Gonzalez, who had also served as a Division G campus liaison at ASU. And she was able to give us a lot of guidance, talk to us a lot about what this process meant and what the workload would look like for us. And so after that, we kind of moved into this vision and planning stage. We created bylaws that would really help ground us in a shared purpose, so that we were all on the same page, and knowing that we again drew from different lines of research. We wanted to make sure that the underlying purpose for this was still about the social context of education. we also wanted to consider what we wanted our impact to be on campus. And so beyond just being another thing for us as a cohort to do, we wanted to think about how we put Division G front and center at the university, how we allow other students to see what we're doing, how we allow other students to get involved in what we're doing, and also how we allow other students to join Division G overall. And so part of that, we reached out to other departments. We gained membership from some other departments, such as Educational Policy Studies, and also other members in our department as well. So after vision and planning, we moved into our execution. So now we kind of had our purpose. We were all in agreement about that purpose and what that would look like, what we wanted our impact to be. So we thought about, just going and running with it. We kind of then stepped back and met and talked about the option of becoming a registered student organization on campus, because that would bring us benefits such as financial benefits, help with advertisements for events, things of that nature, and also just allow us to be seen on a larger scale other than just in the School of Education. So after becoming a registered student org, we then were able to do some further recruitment or attempt to do further recruitment within other departments. And then, of course, we wanted to host events that would be beneficial to us, but also the larger campus, and particularly the School of Education. And so we hosted events that were aligned with the impact that we wanted to have on campus. And so I think Katie will talk a bit more about that impact.
Thanks, Blair. So when we first started talking about how we're going to expand like the Division G mission over UW-Madison's campus, a lot of it came from the idea of events and holding events. And some of those practical things are, how are we going to start out as a small group and new group and get our name out there? And also, how are we going to create events that are appealing to grad students? We're all very busy in all sorts of different ways. So how are we going to create something that's going to attract the graduate students, and then they'll also benefit from it as well? So we started thinking about some interdisciplinary ways that we could collaborate. UW-Madison, the School of Ed here, has 10 different departments. The special ed department, where we're all from, is actually one of the smaller ones. So trying to reach out to the different departments here was really important to us. There's also 3 major research centers here at the School of Ed, the biggest one being the Wisconsin Center for Educational Research, WCER. So there's also a lot of opportunities there that help with networking across our departments. That was important to us too, because Division G is, and social context of education is something that can be thought about across all disciplines of education. And the way we might think of the social context of education in special ed might be very different how a curriculum instruction or an educational leader, someone in that department, might think about it. So it was important for us to expand that way. So then came these campus collaborations. And it was the network and the student diversity programs were 2 other organizations that we kind of collaborated with too when we first started our events. So one of the first event we held was called Ed Talks. And we partnered with a group called The Network here on campus. And the network primarily focuses on graduate students and providing them with professional development opportunities and networking opportunities, really. And so how they kind of helped us was they already have the span of people that they reach out to, graduate students. So they really helped us, especially because it was our initial event. They helped us with advertising. They also have a little bit more of a budget too, which was helpful for a small first-time group. So they provided dinner. So that was intriguing to graduate students. But anyways, in short, Ed Talks was a really positive, well-received event. We had 5 graduate students give brief TED Talks on their research. And it was a really neat way for students to hear in kind of a more relaxed fashion about what their peers are doing across departments. It also gave those people presenting a really unique professional opportunity to present their research that was more than just the elevator talk, and somewhere between in the elevator talk and their like a formal presentation. So, and with that, like I said, it was very well received, and the network is hoping to extend on it again and do another reiteration of that. With the student diversity programs, we worked on some more social type networking activities with them, gathering graduate students and having them in a common space of ones who are particularly interested in the context of social context of education. So Katie is going to talk about some future events and areas of opportunity.
All right, so to start, I'm going to just piggyback a little bit off of what Katie was talking about. The impact of networking with other groups has been really, I think, essential for us as a campus liaison, because it's opened up other opportunities for us to work with other groups, with like the School of mostly within the School of Education, but other groups outside of just Division G. So we've been able to learn about other programs that are going on, as well as it has helped us get the word out about Division G too, because we're a smaller group and we're a smaller graduate school, a smaller program compared to some of them. And so really working with other groups has helped us a lot. And it's really, I think, impacted just getting information out to other people, and also impacting us because we've been able to learn about what other people are doing outside of our discipline in education as well, around research that's related to the Division G mission. So moving forward, we hope to continue with that, continue to collaborate with other disciplines in education, maybe some other groups that we haven't already collaborated with might be a good thing to start, that we could look into doing and discussing moving forward, and as well as continuing to work with some of the groups we have. Like Katie had mentioned, the network, it's called the Network Fellows, is a really large group throughout the School of Education, and so they're a really good group to keep working with. Some of what we've talked about upcoming, one of our ideas when we first met and we started making goals about some ideas of events to plan as a Division G group, one of them was the screening of films that would be related to important issues around the mission of Division G and this upcoming film Intelligent Lives. I don't know if there was more. I didn't write down like the author. Do you know who it's by? I don't know if I should add that, but
yeah, it's directed by Dan Habib, and
right, that's right.
Quite a few documentaries about people and students with disabilities and promoting their inclusion within either school or the greater society.
Right, thank you. Mm-hmm. I thought that was important to put in there, and then I realized I'd forgotten who it was by. So doing a screening of the film, and then it's again another way to bring in people from outside of Division G, maybe even outside of the School of Education, introduce what Division G is about, but then also providing information through this film, around some of the things that we care about. So then some other ideas moving forward for this year we're possibly doing like brown bag lunches with talks, you know, on particular topics aligned with the Division G mission. We haven't gotten specifics with that yet, but these are just our goals for this year. Another thought was like planning events with speakers or panels. Also addressing particular topics of the social context of education. And the Ed Talks was, I thought, pretty positively received. And since it was the first one, moving forward with a second annual Ed Talk, I think we've talked about would be a good idea because, you know, it's always the first one, you always are just working on getting the word out there as best you can. And I think we might get more people involved with the second year. And it went really well the first year. So that's some of our goals moving forward. The other thing that moving forward, what we really kind of want to be more intentional about is developing and be more of a graduate student group. Right now it's the three of us, and then we did have a second member, but she, right, correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, she moved to a different school, right? So our goal is, you know, gathering some other grad students and maybe starting to do some more regular meetings, planning more, like taking a look at our goals and planning ways to execute those goals, planning future events. Basically, the big goal that we sort of have from here is, you know, also finding other students who will work with us to help sustain the group moving forward. We have a new class of graduate students new cohort that started this year. That's a little bigger. There's 5 of them. So, and there's already some students who have been, you know, talking with us around interest. So our step sort of now is to also work towards sustaining so that the Division G Campus Liaison group will continue moving forward as we, and maybe making a little bit of a bigger like group of people who are like maybe like a leadership team or something, you know, who will plan more events and things like that in the future. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like just to bounce off of that last comment, Katie, is one of the hard things is when you do a graduate student group like this is you're only here for a limited amount of time. So we are, you know, all starting to be on the back hill of our program, and we'll be leaving UW-Madison. Not anytime soon. We all got a little ways.
I like that. The back hill of our program.
Yeah. So just to start thinking about that, about how we're going to sustain what we have started here.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I don't know if we have any questions, or I can stop the sharing of this. So.
I saw one person join. No.
Yeah. Well, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box, or you can ask them now. I guess one question I did want to ask was, what's something that you all struggle with as a CL team, and what are some ways that you address some of those issues that you might have bumped into?
Well, I think one of them kind of has been alluded to in the presentation is around sustainability and growing the CL team. How we deal with that, I think, is we just kind of have this optimism, this optimism that like it'll grow, and we have to start the work, and as we're doing the work, it will grow. Because if we wait to, you know, reach this certain number of people before we get going, then we miss out on so many opportunities to be doing the work that we're passionate about, which is why we first started with 3 members. And also when we talk with our advisor, I think having an advisor definitely is a critical piece to it, because they can offer insight, especially if that advisor has been part of a CL team, and is also aligned with Division G, with the larger AERA. They can definitely offer some insights to that. And so our advisor was very adamant that it's okay to start small. Many other CL teams across the nation start small. and then they work to grow or identify ways to sustain the team. So we started with us three. We added two new people, and as Katie said, one of them has left to go to a different university, but it's still very connected in many ways. And so maybe looking to start a CO team there, which while it's not here at UW, to think about growth even somewhere else is kind of cool. But I think now what we're doing is really we're in conversations about what are our next steps. We're being intentional about identifying people who we see in classes or who we've seen their work or whatever it may be, whose work is aligned to the social context of education, and we're being intentional about reaching out to those people to kind of move in and possibly take over, especially some of the newer graduate students.
Yeah, I think also one of the kind of hardships or difficult things can be which also how we tackled it was kind of also mentioned, but and something we're still working on. But when you're busy grad students, sometimes certain things that are directly, especially when you're in the middle of classes, like you have things that are sometimes put on the priority end. If you have assignments due the next day or papers due, sometimes this type of activity can get put on a back burner a little bit, not that you want to, but it just happens. I think just being busy and trying to have schedules mesh can be difficult. One of the things that I feel like can really help with that is like what we talked about, is partnering with other groups. Because sometimes in the time that it takes to plan an event, like I know Katie put a lot of time into that Ed Talks event, but if you work together with even another group, you still are, and if it fits along with that mission, you're still getting the Division G mission out there, and we're still working on it and presenting it, but it takes a little less of the the time off of it if you're networking with other groups and collaborating with other groups.
Yeah, could you talk a little bit more about Ed Talks? That sounds like a really cool event. Like, how did you advertise it? Did speakers have like a limited amount of time to talk, and kind of how kind of the ins and outs of that?
Started out, we would just we started like recruiting with emails to like every department's admin, and then they would send it out to all of their graduate students.
And Katie, you made a Google form. Yes, that they could fill out.
Yep. So we made a Google form that they could fill out. That was almost like an application process. So we reviewed all of that. I think the one criteria was that, like we explained what, like according to Division G, what the definition is of social context of education, in case they weren't familiar with it. And that was just one of the biggest criteria. And it also had to be a project that they were a big part of. It didn't necessarily, thanks Katie, perfect. It didn't have to be it didn't have to be like their own dissertation or individual project, but they just had to be a big part of it. So we had six students who applied, and they were all kind of at different levels. One woman did present on her dissertation research. Others, they were more like preliminary research that they've done, pilot studies for their dissertation. They each had 5 to 10 minutes to speak, and we also had question and answer time after for all of the speakers. Majority of the speakers had a PowerPoint, but did it, I think one of like our biggest things thinking about it moving forward is people preparing like an Ed Talk or like a TED Talk, very different type of presentation that we give. So we were trying to gather some resources to give them, like, here are some examples of what of how this might look. But just in talks of reflecting on how the event went, we might want to like hold a session with all the presenters beforehand to kind of go over and really work with them of, you know, because like a TikTok is more like a story. It's, you know, you can give examples during it and, you know, kind of paint the picture of the scene of your research through this ed talk. And so just kind of moving forward, that's something we might work a little bit more with. Yeah.
Nice. So is there anything else that y'all like to add? Good. Okay. Or any other questions? We're good. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody, especially to you all, Larry, Katie, and Katie, for having and hosting this conversation about being a campus liaison and really the cool stuff that you all are doing. So a couple of last closing announcements. For more information about being a campus liaison, just check out our AERA DivG blog on WordPress, and then you click on the campus liaison page, and we have a campus liaison resource packet, as well as a map that showcases where all the other CLs are located. We also have our applications for our travel grants that are live and available, and that information is also on our DivG blog on WordPress. So the applications are due on February 8th, Friday, at just before midnight. So if you are going to AERA and are planning on presenting, or you're going to pre-con, please be sure to check out that travel grant. They're $200, and we only have 20, but it's a good opportunity for those especially looking for money. And then the last thing is DivG is hosting a community project. So we're giving books for Detroit students, and this is a list of books that Detroit area teachers have created. So again, that information is also available on our DivG blog on WordPress, and there's a link with all the books that the teachers are requesting for their students. Okay, so again, thanks for supporting AERA DivG. Thanks for all the great work that you all are doing. And until next time, goodbye.